Okay, so when I worked for, first queue that they put me on was the home phone residential inbound queue. So you're handling all of the customers that call from Ontario and all the customers that call for Quebec for English. Just launched a new service. They were migrating from their old billing system to the new billing system.
And some people were grandfathered in. I know this.
Lots of people were in Ontario. Everybody in Ontario was still using the old billing system.
Yes, when I lived out east, I had that. And I was grandfathered in, and they kept calling me all the time, trying to get me to get them a new deal.
Yeah, switch over to the home. You get 5 free features, you get voicemail, you get all the calling features.
And you know what, here's the thing. It's like, I don't watch TV, dude.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV. I'm not buying your package.
Yeah, you get the home phone, you get this internet, and you get the AAA bundle, you get $15 off a month.
I don't watch TV. And literally they're like, what? And I was like, I do not watch TV.
So what happened, though, unfortunately, was the billing system migration did not go exactly according to plan. So people kept receiving the bill from the old system long after they had agreed to upgrade their services to the 5 features and get the home phone. The 5 features are $5 a piece. A basic line is $20 and change. So 5 times 5 is 25, plus a basic line is $45 plus tax that was coming out on their bill when they'd been promised something in the $30 range. That because the billing system had yet to migrate, was still sending them out bills on the old bill, the new billing system was the one that would see that they had the 5 service, see that they had the code for the home phone, and give them the discount, because they were charging them full price and putting a discount on. So what we were told to do was take all these calls that were coming in with customers that had received the bill. What the hell is going on? Your agent told me it'd be such and such a price of money per month. And they've got prorated charges for the 5 items. They've got the new monthly charges. So they're expecting a bill somewhere in the $30 to $40 range, and they get a $70 bill. And we were told, you tell the customer to pay the bill and we'll give them a credit later, automatically.
I was told that, and I flipped out.
Oh yeah.
And I flipped out, Nate. And I said, no. And this is what I said, my service was not working properly on this day, and this day. From this hour to this hour, to this hour to this hour. I want a refund for every single day. And they would do it.
They'll do it.
They would do it. And the refund would go right on my account.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be more than my entire bill.
Well,
but am I not right? People would do that, right?
People try to. The problem was that we got so many calls about this that our managers were no longer allowing us to give credits for it.
Yeah, once I was told that they wouldn't give me credit, and I freaked out, and then they went to escalation, and then they went to retention, and it was somebody that I knew, and they refunded it.
Well, you were lucky there. So, well, after a few months, that all kind of sorted itself out. People stopped calling. They did automatically get credited, but it was a huge pain in the ass for everyone involved. And I thought that that would be the biggest thing I would have to worry about. Well, no. After that, they switched me to small business retention queue, where I was taking care of the internet services for Ontario and Quebec. This was 2008, right in the middle of the global financial crisis, where people all over Canada and the rest of the world were going out of business because of massive economy turndown.
I was not awake for any of that.
There was a straw that broke the camel's back type of cascade failure of the banking system. And the governments of the world had to throw in trillions of dollars in order to prevent the collapse of the entire world. And that money didn't come from nowhere. That money came from taxpayers and from government assets and stuff. So it was a gigantic income redistribution that happened. Basically, they gave billions of dollars away to the banks and never asked for a receipt.
Oh.
Because the banks said that otherwise the whole system was going to collapse and there would be nothing. Like, I'm massively oversimplifying it. It'd probably be interesting to watch some synopsis of it.
I don't know anything about it because I was not around. I don't know.
Basically, how it affected me was that a lot of small businesses in Ontario were unable to access credit anymore. So a lot of small businesses were simultaneously going out of business. And this was having a cascading effect across the whole economy, where people weren't being paid anymore, people weren't no longer had a job. So they were calling up the retention queue to cancel their service. And this is where I'm having to tell them, oh, you've got termination fees because you're 2 months before your contract renewed. There was a small print on page 3 of your invoice telling you that your contract would automatically renew. And it's been more than 30 days since that contract renewal, so basically we have covered ourselves, we being, had covered themselves legally that they could take anyone to court who refused to pay those fees and win. The biggest scam that ever happened, though, while I was working there, I had this new service. It was something called WiMAX, which is basically a long-range version of Wi-Fi. So spent millions of dollars building new towers all over Ontario and Quebec, and some out east as well, in order to market this new long-range wireless internet service. It did not have anywhere near the customer pickup and purchase levels that they were expecting, and they were losing money like crazy over it. So they told the Indian tech support to sell these, don't care what you have to do, sell these. People were calling tech support with a problem with their hardline DSL connection that their business was running on that had a static IP address that was high quality connection. They were just having something like a modem problem or something. Their modem died, or they were having a glitch in the area, whatever the problem. And instead of troubleshooting the problem, tech support would be like, oh, well, we've got a new service that's better. What we'll do, we'll swap it out, we'll send you a new modem in the mail, everything's free, and if you get a double billing or anything, just call in and they'll fix it for you. When actually they were downgrading a service, a contracted service, to a lesser contract without telling the customer there'd be termination fees for doing that, without telling the customer that they were going to be billed for an entirely new internet service. The actual free thing was the modem, because previously they'd been charging $300 a piece for these modems, and realized that nobody's going to pay $300 for a modem, that they're going to that they had to do some type of promo where if you signed up for a 3-year contract, you got the modem for free. So tech support's handing out these modems like crazy to all over the people. And here I am in retention with getting call after call after call of people that they've got a double billing. I'm like, why do you have a double billing? Oh, well, I called in 2 months ago with a problem with my internet, and they said they had to send me a new modem. What do you mean they had to send you a new modem? Well, they said, I've got this box here. I haven't figured out how to use it yet because my other services started working like an hour later. I haven't done anything with it. This would happen over and over all day long.
I have this box here. Can I tell you about the great review disaster of that literally killed and put them out of business? Basically a Roku. It was basically Google Chrome.
Chromecast? Okay.
Okay, but like, when people got it, it was a brick.
Oh, it didn't work.
It was like this fucking big.
Oh, big.
And it looked like a DVR machine. And you had to plug it in and connect it to Wi-Fi. And then, like, it was the most frustrating thing to set up. More frustrating than that goddamn Mercury camera. And most people didn't even want to fucking deal with it. Because, like, okay, here's the thing. You couldn't get it in Canada. And the only people that were interested in it were Canadians. And so you get a bunch of, like, Americans calling in and being angry because none of, like, the TV services were hooked up yet. It was all just very brand new.
Preliminary and everything, yeah.
And it ended up just, God, it was the worst thing in the world. People would call, and they had their own, like, section for tech support. So people would call in, and I'm so glad that I didn't have to, like, deal too much with it. But, like, I got to talk to the people when I did warm transfers and hear their frustration. And we were basically given this. If the customer said that they had blocked we were to basically, like, apologize without taking blame for their inconvenience, and then send them over to the special tech support. And then the special tech support job was basically to tell them that the machine had been recalled.
Oh.
And that they needed to send it back and they were going to get a refund.
Oh man, that is such a waste of time.
So then
and
they'd
money.
have to send it back to us, and we'd have to process refund after refund after refund after refund.
Oh my god.
People were just pissed. And we were like, okay, we'll send you a package, and it has a label on the package, and then you put the label on the package, and then you send the package. How stupid some people can be, especially in the South. The label, I think I threw it out. Okay, sir, we're going to send you another box. A box? There's a box with it? Well, there's some f***ing bubble wrap in there, and my son's been playing with it, but there was nothing else in the goddamn box. What do you mean you're going to send me a box? Okay, sir. I want my refund. Sir, we cannot process your refund unless you put it in the box, which is now not existent, so we have to send you another box. Once you put the in the box and you give us the tracking label, we can check with UPS, which we'd have to call to do, to make sure it's on the way, and then we can process your refund, sir. And they're like, no, you didn't send me a shipping label. And then people will be like, what's a shipping label? And people will be like, what do these numbers mean? Or, like, my package got lost.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd send an empty box. Which a lot of people did. And it was just like, okay, whatever, man. Keep your things. Do you know how much these things cost?
Oh, they probably weren't cheap. A couple
they were
hundred of these?
$159 for, like, the basic one. Hi, kitty.
Well, when people would call in and realize that they'd been sold a second internet service, it would be basically my job to apologize, cancel the service, tell them about the whole modem label return box and everything like you just mentioned. Except our billing system had an automatic 15-day timer on the cancellation. So once you processed the cancellation, it would start the timer. And if the modem wasn't received at the warehouse and scanned in before the timer went off, it would automatically charge them $300 for the modem.
I know. I've tried to return modem and been charged that, and then called them back and be like, I returned my modem for you.
Oh, it's totally automatic. So they'd call in again. So this is like the third time I think they would have called, about when really all that would needed done was some troubleshooting on their DSL line. Call in again. They say, like, I thought you said you were going to take care of this. And remember, they're calling the queue that has a 2 to 5 hour hold time to get a hold of. So they've spent multiple days on this at this point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the queue, that was the worst. Because people were so pissed.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of, like, every single customer who bought that had to return it. Because what happened was, then threatened to sue because they were selling it and didn't want it to be a product anymore. And so it was like, oh my god, man, now everyone, like, they wanted us to recall them. It had access to, like, services, like, you could get free HBO and things like that. And I think that was, like, causing conflict with some of the
licensing, I guess, huh?
TV peoples.
They'd call in with the $300 fee. I was very lucky where my supervisor had a $2,000 credit limit. So I could just, like, 4 times, 5 times a day, I was going over there and asking for an authorization for a credit in the hundreds or even thousands of dollar range. Do you want to know why I say the whole thing was a scam? In network security, in order to prevent agents from accessing parts of the internal network they did not want them accessing, they would make it so that the web pages wouldn't come up in the Internet Explorer if you typed in the name. It would just say the page can't be displayed. In the tool that you used to order this wireless internet service, there is a subframe that would load the map based on the address you input so that you could see the signal strength and whether or not the customer could get it. If any of the agents that were not in one of centers in Montreal or Ottawa opened up this tool to make an order to sell this internet, the map that showed up and told them whether or not the customer could receive the signal would show page cannot be displayed. So none of the agents that were selling the service were able to verify the customer could actually receive the service in their area. I was the only one in multiple call centers that could do it because I figured out how to reverse engineer their blocking system and get through it. So I had supervisors and their supervisors coming from all over the center to my desk to ask me to look up this address, look up this address, look up this address. And I was showing over and over again. I'm sorry that he's such a know-it-all, you guys. All of this stress drove me to just... I didn't know how to handle alcohol at the time. I had just started drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And I started drinking and drinking and drinking and staying up late and not caring about work and just like... Eventually it got to the point where I slept through one too many shifts and I came in and I was fired. And I'm like, I don't care. I hate this place.
Everybody was getting fired around me and they were laying everyone off and they
were looking for any excuse to get rid of people.
They pulled us all into the room, like the whole entire call center. They held a meeting and said that they were going to sell the place to some other person and that all the jobs were being sent off to somewhere else. But we found out online that they were sending the jobs to Mexico and they were paying them $4.75 an hour, so half of what they were paying us.
Yeah, StarTech did the same thing. They got some of the supervisors from Cornwall to fly out to the Philippines and train people for their brand new call center. And about 6 months afterwards, they closed the call center in where those supervisors worked at and laid them all off.
Yeah.
So they got people to hire their replacements.
Yeah.
Without telling them.
Yeah.
I'm sure will never want to talk about all of the mental anguish and stress that they put their agents and customers through. That's not the conversation they want to have right now, I'm sure. It was good practice for life. It's the first job I ever had. Coming right out of Christian homeschooling, right out of church, never been in the real world at all. My first training class, when I got my job, had more people in it than my immediate social group. There were 27 people in my starting class, which is more people than I interacted with on a yearly basis.
Oh.
Like, there was more people in that than my whole social group. In church and stuff, you know?
I react with hundreds of people on a daily basis now.
That was long before all those things happened.
Chanel,
definitely,
like your dad, not me.
Definitely it was a good experience. It was a very stressful, unhappy experience, but it was good for me as a person. Mm-hmm. Helped me to understand irate people better and be more empathetic. I would have ever dreamed about all the issues that I had to deal with. And I got to talk to a lot of really cool people, because like small business owners, some of them some really cool things they do. I talked to this one guy that was setting up point-to-point laser communications on towers to do high-speed data network. Another customer was talking about how they were partnering with Rogers to track people's cell phones as they drove down the highway to be able to give live traffic updates on Google Maps before Google Maps live traffic updates was a thing.